Okay, well, if you think women consume way more in fashion than men, well, let's talk about sneakers. Men have more sneakers on average than women have heels. And also, if you think that women consume way more than men in fashion, who do you think makes all of that marketing for women to consume? Who do you think uses all those fucking flaws and insecurities against us to consume? So if you want me to go even deeper, I'm going to tell you that men have created the consumption issues for women in fucking fashion. How about that? Because that's the truth. Mm-hmm. My bank account says different from my wife. I didn't realize until a few years ago that girls are just as horny as guys sometimes. Like, we're literally the same. The more I get to know men, trust me, like, I've talked to all walks of men, I'm like, oh, bro, you're like the same. Like we really do feel the same, you know? We really do. It's like wild. Men just lean a little more towards aggression. Women lean a little more towards like, I don't want to call it hysteria, but crying, but like we really are the same. And the only reason why men lean towards aggression instead of showing their issues is because society has made them think that they can't show it. So they get aggressive with their emotions because they have to hold it in, right? And the only reason why women are more hysterical in a sense is because society has told them they can't just say this is how they feel. They have to be silent until they get fucking hysterical. And in a way, each type of male and female have both been silenced in some way to make some of our emotions heightened, but it's the same shit. A 100%, Riley. 100%. Thanks, Lurks and Leaves. Thank you for the 100 biddies. Lamone, thank you for the prime. Jay Nice again. Thank you for the prime. Yeah, so they say that marijuana calms anxiety and several other things. That's what do you think? I think for certain people. Testosterone expression versus estrogen. Exactly. I agree and thank you. So my friend was recently got out of state penitentiary jail. And he told me he was shocked because all men from all types of walks of life, the biggest thing he experienced was most men have eating issues. And I'm like, I fucking know, bro. They either eat too much because of their emotions, same thing women do, or a lot more men than what you would think have eating problems and they don't eat. So for those of you out there, here's a perfect example of why men are to blame for women consuming more as you believe. Look at Victoria's Secret. Yes, watch the documentary on Hulu. For years, a whole team of men in the background making every choice make their own models feel low with little self-esteem, firing them for being ounces overweight, belittling them if they didn't look good enough. Some people need to get out of their basements and live a little and see how the world and experience is rather than thinking they know it. Exactly. And Victoria's Secret's actually caused a lot of shaping issues in our society today. So Victoria's Secret's was one of the dominant forces when it came to retail fashion, right? Victoria's Secret's was a global empire when it came to retail fashion. And what did they do? They said, cool, we have taken over fashion. And we've become a global force for women's fashion. We have manipulated what sexy is and made women believe that the way we sell sex is how they view it for themselves, even though we're the men pushing it behind the marketing, right? And they said, being the major force in women's fashion is not enough when it comes to retail. You know what we want to do? We want to indoctrinate young women, not teens, adolescent women, into are using our brand and our company. We want to start them young so they become lifetime shoppers, right? So what happened? Pink. You know what happened? When I was 13, I bought my first pair of pink underwear and I shopped there until I was about 21 years old. I literally verbatim, I looked at those models. I watched that documentary with like, wow, my eyes are opened, because everything that they were saying, behind the scenes, they knew they were doing. I watched and I was like, wow. I looked at every Victoria's Secret models and I thought I needed to be like them. I bought all of the, at 16 years old, I was buying the videos for the Victoria's Secret workout, right? I was doing that, right? And if you look at all the Victoria's Secret stuff, and even for Pink, look at the fashion and the way they have girls dressed up as cute schoolgirls in slutty outfits and stuff. They are also like attributing to sexualization of young women. It's not cool. It's not cool. That's why you see like Fenty. Look at Fenty. Look at what Riri did. She did the best for runway. Her runway was history because she put in women from all walks of life, all sizes, and it was a big deal and it was fucking amazing. And she totally showed people like, this is what you could do. She was the first big underwear brand to do that. And she set the standard. But you have to understand what Victoria's Secret did, and they ruled the world. They ruled the American world for a while. Respectfully, do you think you have followers on your beauty, your face, and your body? Yeah, I think most of my followers love me for my person. I think one of my biggest talents, and one of the things that I think is so good about me, and one of the things that I get a lot of compliments on, and my number one skill is not my looks. My number one skill is my charisma. I have great charisma. I have the ability to have a room full of people and command a room and control a conversation. Thank you, Dove Trees. Thank you. Thank you, Essie. I appreciate it. Direct, a lot of other suppliers use their raw materials. 100%. I love the rage. I love the rage. Yeah, because I see you start speaking with passion, but I'm telling you, like I have you seen Christmas masterclass? No, I haven't. Whose masterclass? Because you know I love my masterclasses. Like, that's why my stream room looks the way it does, is because I watched Ninja's masterclass. Kris Jenner's masterclass is great. What was the masterclass? If you want to know some good business stuff, if you read or look up anything Dolly Parton, top tier business information right there. Charisma masterclass. Oh, do I have a charisma masterclass? I thought you said Chrisma. I was like, no, let me check her out. Oh my God. I'm 29. I've been watching Victoria's Secret shows the last 7 years due to the good looking girls, but this has given me a weird standard of girls, and I haven't been able to find anything fulfilling enough to Victoria's Secret standards. 100%. Thank you, Red. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what happened. Actually, the catalyst for the things that I've opened up my mind to, excuse me, my nose is stuffy. The things that I've opened up my mind to, the catalyst of that is, so I grew up in the system. I grew up a part of a cycle that says they're here for you, but just allows the abuse of you, right? For their benefit. And they're so good at making you believe that they're here for you that my whole life I thought they were there for me. And through the pandemic, I started my self-help journey, and I just started to read a lot of self-help books that helped me become more self-aware of situations in my life. And I remember watching the documentary on Netflix about the pandemic, and it stated all the stuff that Trump knew before telling us, and it stated the way the government handled the pandemic. without telling us. And in the midst of that documentary, I cried so hard because one of the biggest things that I advocate for in my personal life, one of the biggest things I donate for in my personal life is foster children. And through the pandemic, over 300,000 children have gone into the foster care system in America. Children that have not lost just one person in their family, but both. So I took it as almost an assault against me and an assault against every young person striving for a happy family or a happy future. And really was ashamed because I believed my government and everything they said during the pandemic. I was on their side for a lot of things. And then watching that documentary crushed me because so many children, so many people's futures were just fucking crushed because they didn't want to tell people things and they wanted to funnel things to make more money. And that broke my heart. And that was like the catalyst to me starting to realize and becoming self-aware about not just my own emotions and my own self, but everything around me and like what's really happening with everyone around you and your government and even your doctors. And like, you have to have a big enough brain to think outside of the immediate knowledge that's forced down your throat. Right? Like, I'm not saying everything's a fucking conspiracy. I'm just saying you have to really analyze things before you allow yourself to come to true conclusions. It's crazy. What documentary? Let me find. I could probably type it in. It could probably be the first one. Netflix. I also watched the documentary about Cambridge Analytica and all that stuff. Will really open your eyes to a lot of digital shit that's happening. And I was already talking about 2 years ago, before I was even conscious to a lot of the things that are happening in the world. I was already telling people here on this platform, some of my OG chatters, they know I was saying I would love to make another internet that would have the same type of human rights bill, but for the internet, where we'd have control of our data and all this stuff. Before I even started to think about things, I was already talking about how we need to have our own data rights and all the stuff that could be weirdly happening with that. And then I started paying attention, and then I watched Cambridge Analytica. And like, for instance, I had a designer come over to my house and I have this couch, right? And she's like, oh my God, Instagram keeps pushing this couch to me. That's so crazy. And I'm like, oh, really? She's like, yeah, it was on my Instagram feed last night. And I'm like, really? And I said, did you type my address into your phone before that? And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, that's why, because they knew that someone at my address ordered this couch and owns this couch. And then they put it in your Instagram ads. And she was like, that's crazy. And I looked at her and I was like, it's not crazy. For you to think that it's crazy is the problem. Like, it's not fucking crazy.